Up-to-the-minute news podcast, I'm Ken Jeffries. As budgets for police departments around the country continue to shrink, leaders in law enforcement are increasingly looking for cost-effective ways to do their jobs. Tasers or stun guns have been around for a while. They fire small dart-like electrodes that deliver high-voltage shocks to temporarily disabled suspects. The most popular system is expensive, but there's a brand that's reliable and up to half the cost of today's standard taser. It's called PhaZZer, and Steven Abboud heads up PhaZZer USA. And Steven, how was PhaZZer developed?
It's a niche market, and I thought, if we can develop something and design around any intellectual property that exists out there, introduce it to the market, we could do it for a better price with better features.
Police departments themselves, are they coming to you, or you're trying to sell this device to them, right?
For the most part, they contact us, register, go through the process. If they want to try a demo, we get them a demo so they can test it out, compare it to the competition. And if they like it equal to or better than the competition, then we'll save their department money, which will save the taxpayers, save on their budgets so they can allocate budgets to other things. But it's a pretty significant savings. So it's a matter of, do they like the weapon over the competitive weapon? And if the answer is yes to that, then it's a no-brainer because they're going to save significantly.
Is your device being used by various police departments now?
Yeah, in the United States, I think it's around 300 departments currently use it. Keep in mind, there's 17,000 agencies, so it's quite a few out there. So it's a big market.
Now you say the PhaZZer is built to save lives and has built-in fail-safes in them. How so?
We reviewed the medical studies and listened to the recommendations of the American Academy of Emergency Medicine, which does recommend that you keep the exposure to whoever you're shooting down below 15 seconds. And the weapon that we designed has a safety shutdown circuit technology in it, which limits each trigger pull or pulse train to 5 seconds, whether you're holding the trigger in or not, and then it shuts down for half a second. And you can pull it again for another 5-second jolt, and then one more time for a third, with a total aggregate amount of 15 seconds. Now, once you've exposed their body to 15 seconds, the recommendation, at least of the AAEM, is to keep it under that amount if you're going to shoot somebody with these. With the weapon thinking for you, and automatically after 15 seconds, you know that it's a mental awareness to the operator of the weapon. Look, I've been trained that after 15 seconds, I should not deploy it again. Now, obviously, if he has to use additional force, and it's reasonable and necessary to use additional force, then you just recycle the safety, which takes a tenth of a second. You can pull the trigger 3 more times. But it becomes an intentional act at that point with the operators. So that's another thing that limits the liability on the agency as well as the manufacturer from the standpoint of, they overrode the safety. The question is, did they need to override it and fire it again, or did they not need to override it and fire it again? And obviously, if he's getting up with a stick or a knife or some object, you can justify additional force because these weapons were not built to kill. They were built to save lives and to apprehend and take control of the subject.
For those of us who don't know, what does the PhaZZer look like?
It's a handgun style weapon. It's got a rubber sleeve over the grip. It's 3-finger groove, so it's very comfortable and controllable in the hand. It's got a high intensity LED light. It's got a fully rechargeable battery system that lasts 3,000 to 5,000 deployments, which is I think unmatched pretty much in the industry. I think it's the longest life battery out there. In addition to that, it has that built-in safety circuit that shuts the weapon down and follows the recommendations of the American Academy of Emergency Medicine. There are a few deaths on record, not with the PhaZZer brand. I think the safety circuit has certainly prevented overexposure with anybody, and we haven't seen any incident reports where death has ever taken place, and the brand's been around about 10 years.
Now, you also sell your product to civilians. Why is that important?
Under the current environment, the civilian also needs something to protect themselves because the response times for 911 calls are becoming longer and longer due to the defundings that are taking place, and people have to be able to protect themselves.
So if I'm a civilian and I buy your product, how do you train me?
We have an online training program PhaZZerUS.com. And we also have trainers do Zoom meetings as well for the exercises and deployments and things like that after they do the written portion. And this weapon was for simplicity of use. I mean, it's point, aim, and fire. Point the laser, aim, and fire. That's all you do. And it's center body mass aim, so it's a very natural point of aim.
Okay, and your website is again?
It's www.PhaZZerUS.com. That's PhaZZerUS.com.
And our thanks to Steven Abboud, and that's an Up to the Minute News podcast. I'm Ken Jeffries.